Stomach and Spleen Meridian lines this morning. So again, as Ian always does, it'll affect your legs and your hips. Tops of the legs are right down the center of them is the stomach meridian line, and then the spleen meridian line is just to the inside of that, so along the inner legs and entering the body at the groin. So the hips area for the stomach is the front of the hip joint, so back bends will get that area as well. And twisting, there's a little bit of twisting with this as well. So inner and tops of the legs is what we're going to concentrate on this morning. All right, well, I am thinking that that's about it for now. I will turn this off and put it back on after. So come to a comfortable cross-legged seat as we do. Or again, if you like, you can always lie back, remember, always an option. If you're seated, make sure you're sitting your hips on something. Roll the end of your yoga mat over, or have a little quilt like I always do. You want to, technically, if we were going to sit in meditation for any length of time, you want your hips higher than your knees. But even just for this first 5 minutes, it's handy to have your hips a little bit higher. Right? Make sure you have a lap for your cat. Legs are comfortably crossed, one foot in front of the other. If you're lying back, you can have them hip width apart and bent, and have your inner knees rest together. That can be easier on your low back, and then feel free to straighten them out if you want at any time. Don't chew my zipper. No. Hands are on your thighs, palms up or down, or in your lap. If you're lying back, you can have them by your sides, palms up or down, maybe on your belly, or one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart. Shrug your shoulders up to your ears, and then let them slide down your back away from your ears, and tuck your chin in slightly, lengthening the back of the neck, letting your eyes fall softly shut. Just settling in to your room, onto your mat, into your space. So let go of your morning thus far. Let go of today, whatever is in store on the list of things to do. Tell yourself all those busy thoughts will be waiting for you once you step off your mat. So set them aside for now. Try to let go of anxieties and worries just for this next hour, enclose yourself in this bubble of serenity and calm and safety. Feel the earth beneath you. Feel grounded. Maybe even sensing that earth energy. Bring your awareness outside of your house to the skies above. Notice how you feel slightly uplifted when you bring your awareness to those heavens. See if you can bring down some of that lightness. Pull up some of that earth energy and feel the two opposing forces center deep in your core. So you are at one and the same time anchored, but with a lightness. And then doing a body scan, taking note if there are any areas that are maybe in need of a little extra care or attention this morning. On any level, physical, spiritual, emotional, or mental, or emotional, I guess there's the three issues that may arise. Not that you'll dwell on anything that does pop up, but acknowledge it. Create a little space. And when we check in again at the end of the hour with how we're feeling, you may notice things have subtly shifted in sensation or perspective. And then bringing your awareness to your breath. Starting to notice whereabouts in your chest cavity that you're breathing. trust your breathing. Whether you're breathing through your nose or your mouth or a bit of both. And then beginning to breathe in and out through your nose. Bring your mind's eye to the rings of your nostrils and feel the air swirl in and out. Follow the path of one of your breaths up your nose, down your throat, into your lungs, and back out that same pathway. Notice the difference in temperature right there at the rings of the nostrils. The coolness as the air enters, the warmth as it exits. Check that your shoulders are relaxed. And start to even out your inhales and exhales. Maybe put a count to 2 or 3 or 4 as you inhale. And that same steady count as you exhale. Or use that mantra, I am breathing in. I am breathing out. Matching that phrase to your inhales and exhales. With or without the I am part of it, you can simply use breathing in, breathing out. On another inhale, still counting or using your mantra, pay attention to how your rib cage moves. Feel the expansion, the fronts lift and separate. So do the backs of your ribs. Check that your shoulders are still relaxed. Notice the side ribs. There's some movement, not as much, but still some. Go deeper on another inhale. Look at your lungs. Feel them expand in the fronts, the backs, the sides of your lungs. Watch them contract as you exhale. Virtual sponges they are, filling up the majority of your chest cavity. First place we assimilate the outer world chi with our inner world chi. So they are considered tender organs. Send them some gratitude for their good health. And for all the work that they do all day, all night for us. Just take a couple more breaths on your own, setting an intention, going within. One more breath. Maybe taking your intention with you off your mat into your day. If you are on your back, make your way to one side. You can open your eyes, blinking them open and closed a few times. If you were seated, you might want to lift the knees, straighten out your legs, and give them a little bounce, point, and flex. When you're ready, bring yourself over from lying down or from seated onto all fours. If you have a thin yoga mat, you might want to open up your little quilt so you have some padding for your knees. Open your knees about to the edges of your mat or wherever that they'll go, that they're feeling a little bit of a tugging along the inner lines of your legs already. See if you can sit back on your heels. If that's not going to work because of knee injuries or whatever, then take a block or some books if you've got that and set it between your toes and then set your bum on the blocks, and that'll keep the knee joint less compressed. You can always roll up your quilt and put it behind your knees as well if you're not using it underneath your knees, so that again it keeps the knee joint open a little bit. And if none of that works because of knee injuries or knee replacements, then you can kind of simulate this on your back by lying down. Open your knees wide, and then you don't have the compression on them like this. And then you can also do the twisting part that we'll do on your back. So lots of ways to modify this for those knees. From here, you're going to walk your hands out in front of you, and we're going to twist over to the left. So leave your left hand in front of you and bring your right hand underneath, and then set your head down maybe on your mat. If that doesn't work, fold your left arm in, make a nice pillow for your head to rest on, the side of your head. You might want to take your glasses off if you've got glasses on, if they're getting pushed into your nose. You can, if you're not using a block to sit on, you can always have the block as a pillow, or if you've got a cushion handy, you can set the cushion there and rest your side of your head on using the cushion to pillow your head, or the pillow to cushion your head, whichever you say. At this point, you might want to wrap that arm. If you're not resting on it, if you're resting your head on your mat or on your block, wrap it behind your waist. Maybe bring that right arm a little closer to the inner knee. You can feel right away how that pulls. Relax everything. Pulls in a good way, like a tugging feel along the inner thigh. Notice the two inner thighs, right compared to the left. Maybe there's more of a tugging feeling on the right side and into the groin than on the left. Maybe they're even. Notice your low back. Maybe it's feeling a little bit of compression or sensation from the twist. Feel the sensation right down the center of your legs, from the compression at the front of the hip joint, the pulling through the quad, the knee, the pressure on the shins from being on the floor, pressure on the tops of your ankles, your feet, right to your big toe, second toe. Those are the two toes where the stomach meridian ends in the second one and the spleen meridian begins in the big toe. Are you breathing your yogic breath in and out steady? Even inhales with even exhales. Yin just has 3 principles, and we always mention them every class because it's good reminders. Coming into a pose at an appropriate depth, so find your edge. That's the first tattva or principle. And you notice tugging sensations, and you want to stay there. You don't want to go past that edge, because then probably you're using your muscles to pull you further in. And we want to keep our muscles soft in yin. Work with fascia as well as the meridian lines from acupressure and acupuncture. And once we've established that edge and it's never any place of pain, it may be uncomfortable, but it's manageable, then we stay still. That's the second principle. We don't back away from those strong sensations, rather we sit with them. We try to relax and be calm. So it's literally a meditative practice. Any yoga is, but yin with its long holds is even more so, that meditative aspect being available. We go within, still, or physically still. And then the third principle is time, holding these poses for minutes rather than breaths. Now inhale and unwrap your back arm and set it down as you exhale. Inhale, unwind. If you want to release here, you can. If not, just go straight over to the other side. So we're having our right arm out and then twisting over. I'll turn around so that I'm not talking to the wall. So right arm is in front of you, bend your arm for a pillow again if you did that on the first side. Don't wrap your arm just yet. Just find the difference on this side compared to the other. Obviously, there's different sensation through the shoulders, through the low back, the waist area from the twist. What about the legs? Maybe with shifting the twist over to the right, now the pull has altered slightly through the thighs and inner legs. Take your right arm, if you're not using it as a pillow, and wrap it behind you now. Maybe wiggle that left arm closer to the inner right knee, and then relax. If you're having trouble relaxing in yin at any time, then you're probably in too far, so back off a little bit. Always got to try to find that sweet spot. Breathing in, breathing out, letting go. So the stomach meridian is basically a sorting mechanism. They view stomach not as the stomach itself, though that's a part of it, but stomach with a capital S, stomach energy, stomach meridian, the highway of energy, the whole body aspect. So the main component to our stomach chi wellness is what we put into the stomach. But the stomach's job is to sort the foods and liquids that we do ingest. And it sends those that are needing further breaking down to the spleen. In Chinese medicine and acupuncture, the spleen figures a lot more prominently than it does in the West. And those that need further breaking down, more work, if you will, get sent to the small intestine. And from there, what we've ingested literally gets turned into energy that makes us beings. And stomach chi is well balanced. It can lead to heightened creativity. If there's imbalances with the lines running through our body, then we can find that we're worrying overly much, heightened anxiety, unreasonable anxiety often. Now on your next inhale, unwrap that back arm and set it down. Exhaling, and then inhale, bring yourself all the way up this time onto all fours. Lift your knees so they're back underneath you. Don't drag them. Just stay still for several breaths so you can really notice and enjoy the release of those compressed areas. And then here, probably some cat-cows would feel good. So arch your back, tuck in your tailbone, drop your head looking for your belly button, and then go the opposite way. Spread the sit bones, look up, drop the belly. Go through some of these cat-cows. Match one breath to one movement, and ending with a flat back when you're ready. And then we're going to stay on our knees, so be mindful here. Do some toe curls. I'll see if I can sit this way, I guess. So sit in a Japanese position, And your feet then are flat. Now, if you find that that's way too intense on the ankles, then roll up your yoga mat or take that quilt and put it just under those ankles, so then it gives a little bit more of a cushion and the ankles aren't quite as intensely stretched onto your mat. But if you're okay there, then sit back on your heels. Reset the timer here. These are called toe curls. We just, because your toes are smaller joints, again, we don't stay for very long. But great for the ankles as well. And because of both meridians running through the front of the ankle, this is a good way to stimulate the meridians as well. Hit those trigger points along the line. So from here, we're going to come forward, tuck your toes under. So here's where the toe curls comes back. Now, for a lot of people, this can be very intense and very painful. Our feet live in shoes. A lot of the time, try not to do that in the house. Walk around barefoot, maybe not so much in the winter, but even in slippers, and lean back. If you find that it's too intense to lean back or to have your butt sitting on your heels, then keep your hands on your mat, and that'll take the pressure off those toes. So try to relax through your legs as well. Feel right from the big toe to the pinky toe. Easy does it here. Come forward. Set those feet back down. You can certainly feel all the toes there, can't you? Sit back. Just sitting here for about 30 seconds. Breathing, close your eyes. Feel the lovely pull you're getting through your ankles. And then come forward. Tuck those toes under. You don't quite stay for 30 seconds back here because it gets to be a little intense for a lot of people. Try to feel right from your big toe down to your pinky toe. Maybe even just giving them a little bit of wiggle if you like. And then staying still. Relax your shoulders. Try not to increase the stress in other areas of your body. Now come forward. Set those toes down again, those feet back down, this third round. And lean back a little bit. See what you think about putting a little more pressure into the ankles. Maybe let your knees lift up off your mat a little bit, maybe a little more, just to feel that nice pull through the tops of the feet, the ankles. Should feel quite nice. If that's too much, just do one leg at a time. And maybe you're not back so far. Just lifting. Feeling that little bit of extra pull. And then come forward again. Tuck those toes under. Sitting back. Relax the shoulders. Relax your belly. Breathe in. Breathe out. The feet are the first place that starts to tighten up with the aging process. So it's really important to try to keep them supple as well. Come forward. Set your feet down again. Stay here or do that leaning back again. One leg at a time or both. If you feel quite comfortable and you can find a balancing point, this will put a lot more stress into those ankles and feet. Then set your hands in your lap like this. If that's too intense and you find your breath won't stay calm, then just go back to where we were before, modifying. Inhale, and then exhale, set your feet down. One more round of toe curls, come back. Sitting there, now you can increase this again. You can go right up onto your toes into a squat. You can rest your hands on your knees if you like. You can have them in prayer. Find a spot to gaze at. And of course you can always just keep your knees on your mat. Not a problem. Just sitting back like so is fine as well. Take one more breath. And then set the toes down and just come to Child's Pose. Take time to notice that kind of zinging around
Feel the energy, the release of the blood rushing into those areas that were compressed. Quite aware of all parts of your feet, especially your toes though. And then slowly, when you're ready, come up. We're going to tuck our toes under and push up into a downward facing dog. It's good to stretch out the hamstrings after being in bent knee position for so long. So stay still for a moment just so you can also enjoy that warmth flooding through your knees, fronts and the backs of them, maybe into the hamstrings as well. And then walk the dog when you're ready, bending one set of toes at a time, lifting the opposite heel, pushing through the backs of the legs, the backs of the thighs. Push both through together. Nice, lovely hamstring stretch. Come high on those toes. Maybe they feel a little more bendy after the toe curls. And then from here, we're going to go right into Dangling Pose. Now, the main thing from here is that you don't stand up. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, or if you shouldn't be upside down, then come down and sit on your mat. But if you're okay, you're gonna have a block handy near the back of your mat as well. But walk your hands back to your feet. Feet are about 2 fist widths apart or so they're under your hip bones. And then you can grasp opposite elbows if you like, and just dangle your torso there. Let your head go. Maybe shake it no, nod it yes. Knees are just ever so slightly bent, so don't hyperextend. You can engage the quads to help if you like. Now, if your hamstrings are really tight and there's no way you can dangle, like fold in half, you might be more like this. That's okay. Bend your knees. That'll help get your ribs a little closer to your thighs. Should come forward a little bit there. Sorry. So bend your knees a lot and have your ribs a lot. Everybody can do this because we're going to do 2 rounds, so that's not a problem to bend your knees a lot. And it's same thing. You can clasp your elbows, or you can set your hands on your mat for steadying purposes. If upside down stuff shouldn't happen because of blood pressure or eye issues or other reasons, then do this seated. Same thing. You just don't have the inversion part of it. And don't let your head go all the way down if there's some issues that you shouldn't be doing that. Don't pull, just lean forward. So this one's called Dangling. Think of your legs as strong. Feel them, the feet, all 4 corners of the feet, rooting into the earth. Letting your neck relax. Think of your legs as a cliff and your torso's the waterfall. Even if you've got them bent, sorry, for this first round we said we were going to bend them a fair bit. So you can have your ribs right on those thighs. You're getting many of the same benefits as you do in a headstand by being inverted. Inverted poses are wonderful massages for our heart, bring more blood to our brain. Now from here, you're going to set your hands right onto your mat, heel toe your feet apart so that you can drop your bum right down and you come into a yoga squat. Keep your feet flat on the mat if you can. If that's not possible, then roll the end of your yoga mat over several times and make a little shelf so that you can set your heels on them if it's too intense for the ankles, because this can be for a lot of people. Or use your block, set your block under your bum so that you can sit back on it, and that'll relax the pressure through the ankles and the hips as well. If you were seated, then you can make your way to this yoga squat as well, unless there's some knee issues. And then remember how I showed you could simulate the wide-legged pose of the child that we did with the twist, that you could simulate it on your back. You can do the yoga squat on your back as well. That's always a possibility. Keep your hands on your mat if you prefer, or bring them together in prayer. Upper arms are kind of between the inner knees.
Find a spot to gaze at. Relax your shoulders. Often I find students are all hunched up in little balls. So think of your spine lengthening. Relax your shoulders. Drop your tailbone down. Breathing in. Breathing out. You can use your ocean breath here if you like. That's that HA, soft sound in the back of your throat. But instead of having your lips open when you say that HA sound, put them together and send that through your nose. Sounds a bit like Darth Vader breathing. This one gives you that strong compression in the front of the hip joint, the place where the stomach meridian enters the torso. Actually comes out of the torso and enters the legs because the stomach meridian flows down the energy towards ending in the second toe. And you probably feel this a little bit in the groin as well with the knees apart. And that's where the spleen meridian enters the body. The inner thigh, it runs along, kind of not quite the inner thigh, but closer to the top edge where the stomach meridian line is, but it enters at the groin. Now plant your hands down, lean forward, and push right back up into your dangling pose again. Bring your feet in a little bit. This time we'll keep our legs straight. If you're doing this seated, then same thing. Don't bend your knees as much as you did the first time. Let your arms just drop if you want. You're just dangling. Think of that torso as the waterfall flowing over the cliff, the strength of your legs, strong. Press your feet into your mat, rooting down. Some of you might find it feels good to have your hands behind your legs and clasp a wrist, as long as there's absolutely no effort to do that. Maybe shake your head no, making sure that your neck is relaxed, your jaw is relaxed. Breathe in, breathe out. So in the Chinese medicine theories, as I mentioned, the spleen plays a much more prominent role. It's the primary organ of digestion, the site where white blood cells trap organisms is the physical characteristic of it. It's thought of as the source of life for our other organs because of that, extracting pure essences from our ingested foods and liquids and then literally turning them into blood and chi energy. Now, inhale and set your hands on your mat. Heel toe your feet apart once more so you can drop your bum down for a second round of squat. Again, remember you can do this on your back. Hands can be in prayer or they can be on your mat. Remember to make sure that you've got something to support under your heels if you're finding that it's too intense to be right on your flat feet. Make sure your toes are going in the same direction as your knees as well. Try not to bunch up into a little ball. Relax your shoulders. Gaze at a point on your mat. Breathing in. Breathing out. If our spleen chi, if our spleen chi is imbalanced, our whole system can be disharmonious then. When spleen chi is flowing freely and balanced, we feel earthy, sensual, full. If there's an imbalance, then we can be lethargic. There's a weakness, a dullness, because the whole body-mind is not getting enough nourishment.
Some signs of spleen depletion are ulcers, anorexia, obesity, infertility, feeling ungrounded, spleen chi being harmonious controls digestion and stores our intention or our determination. Now inhale, come forward again onto all fours. If you were on your backs for that one, then just make your way slowly to your side and then join us on all fours. Just stay still for a few breaths so you've got that lovely time to enjoy that release as the blood rushes through all those areas that were compressed. And then come down onto your tummies. Remember I said about some back bends is a great way to pull into the front of the hips. So we'll come right into a Sphinx pose. Unless this is too intense, then do the baby cobra one. Remember that's where your ribs come back down onto your mat and your hands slide underneath your shoulders. Elbows are sticking up like little grasshopper legs. Here you can have your hands flat. Palms can come together if you like in prayer, or you can clasp opposite elbows. Tops of the feet are just relaxing on your mat. Chair out of the way. Small room, so not a lot of room in here. And we're here. Okay. Relax your bum, relax your legs here. Put a little bit of pressure into those elbows or into your hands if you're in the baby cobra. So you can feel the increase in sensation in the low back. Maybe you can feel a little bit of sensation in the front of your hip joint here. If you're not feeling too much, feel free to float the feet up into the air. Maybe open the legs a little bit. Find that sweet spot so that they just kind of hang out there and you can still relax your legs, relax your bum. Very little work there. Keep that slight pressure in your elbows. And that should give you the sensation in the front of the hip joint that we're looking for. And your head is just naturally wherever you like. Looking in front of you a little bit, perhaps keeping your spine all aligned, or maybe you feel better to look down where your hands or in between your hands, or maybe you want to drop your head completely. This is a good one for the tissues in the lower abdomen as well. Feel stretch through those tissues, your skin, and it goes deeper as well. You can run your mind's eye along your spine here, breathing from the tailbone up to the base of the skull. As you inhale and then travel down the front of your spine as you exhale if you like. Or bring your mind's eye more to the front of your hips and the pressure through your legs, the center of your thighs that you're getting here. And we're just past the halfway mark. If you want to increase it, and by all means just hang out here, or if you've had enough, you can back off. If you want to increase it, drop your legs down first of all and set your palms down, coming up into seal pose, so straighten into your arms. And just being still when you get up as high as you're coming up. Relax your legs, relax your bum. You can rise up out of the shoulders, or you can relax down into the shoulders. Totally up to you. I find relaxing down into the shoulder girdle like this tends to pull a little more into the front of the hip and the tissues of the abdomen, so you might like to do that today with our emphasis on stomach and spleen meridian line. Here as well, you can have your legs together. They can be apart. You can find that sweet spot again if you like.
and float those feet up into the air. Remember, wherever you are, if you're feeling it, you're doing it. So if you can feel some sensation through the front of the hip joints, pressure down the center of the thighs, feeling it in your low back, feeling the tissues getting a nice stretch through the lower abdomen, then you know you're doing it. And as long as your breath is steady, if you're finding it a little bit intense, set your feet down or back off a little bit in another way. Maybe use the butt or leg muscles slightly to help take some of the pressure off the low back if that's where the problem is. Just a few more breaths. Now take a nice deep inhale, and then on the exhale, slowly lying yourself down. Make a nice pillow for your head. Stack your hands, one side of your head to rest on, or your forehead. Puff your low back out with your breath. If your head's on one side, you might like to draw that same knee up alongside you, so you're lying with one bent and one straight. If you're craving some motion, then maybe you'll have your legs, the lower limbs up into the air, and do windshield wipers back and forth. Maybe you do a little bit of both of those, or maybe you just lie still, breathing. When you're ready and taking your time, push up again onto all fours. Swing your legs to one side and come to a seated position. This next one can aggravate sciatica, so you'll want to sit your sit bones on that rolled up little quilt. We're going to open our legs up wide, so you might want to swivel sideways for this so you have padding under your legs. You're being friendly and sociable today. All right, so we're going to go over to the left first of all. So inhale over to the left leg, and then as you exhale, start to fold over that leg. So you can feel the twist happening through your lower back, and then you're leaning over here. Feel free to bend your knees a little bit or a lot. Use your hands beneath the back of that knee. Put a block underneath the back of the knee if you prefer, to give some release to the hamstring. You can keep your head in line with your spine, or you can let your head go. You can also, if you're not using the block beneath the knee, you can find a resting place for it on the shin, and then rest your forehead on the block like so. Relax your arms, you're not pulling. They're just totally relaxed on either side of your leg. If you're not able to get down onto the block, you can always, if you can, again, find a resting place and rest your hands on it if you like, or just simply lean and let your head dangle. Don't pull yourself forward, just draping yourself forward. We're here for just 2 minutes. Relax your legs. This is a great one for the spleen meridian line because of the pull you're getting through the inner lines of your legs and into the groin. So back to a little bit of spleen chi information. It's the sense of being at home inside ourselves emotionally. Because remember, these meridians, we're talking about spleen, we're talking about physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, the whole body. It's an ability to take in nourishment through our spleen, but the whole body aspect of spleen.
So taking nourishment on all levels of our body, mind, spirit. Ability to convert those broccoli and carrots that we ingest into us. When spleen chi is balanced, emotionally we feel a sense of contentment and we're at ease wherever. Whereas if there's an imbalance, on an inhale, come back up to the center. Exhale, twist over to the right, and then slowly leaning over that right leg. If there's an imbalance, then, as I mentioned before, anxiety, you can see the link to the stomach meridian there. Nervousness, worry, there's a pensiveness in a too much way. Can be sympathy craving and just off-centeredness. Mentally, if the spleen chi is flowing freely, we have clear thinking. We can make connections easily, garner insight, a sense of coherence in our life. Various perceptions and ideas come together, we have a sense of accomplishment. If spleen chi is blocked in places or not flowing freely, or if there's a lack of spleen chi, depletion, then mentally we may find ourselves in dogmatic thinking, obsessiveness, and inflexibility, unwillingness to adapt. Check in with those shoulders, make sure that they're relaxed and your jaw as well, relaxed. Maybe make sure the tongue is loose. Tip of the tongue just behind the teeth. Feel the compression that's happening in the top of your hip joint here, as well as that pull through the inner lines of your legs. Your feet are relaxed. Ride your breath in. Ride it back out again. Now on an inhale, slowly bring yourself back up to the center. Exhale. And then we'll go right down the center. If you feel that you need to open your legs a little further, then feel free to do that. Blocks can be great here too. You can use them to lean your forearms on, perhaps. Seems like when you can, I know I say this all the time, when you can relax your torso and relax your arms onto something, the legs just let go as well. And the more you can relax through the legs, the more you're pulling on fascia, but also targeting these meridian lines as well. Maybe you've got a place to rest your head on the block. Remember, you can always stack a couple together. If you are resting your head on the block, no matter which end you're using, or a couple of them together, then you might find that it's nice just to have your arms relaxed out to the sides a little bit, like so. Relax through your shoulders. This one should feel fairly intense along the inside line of the legs and into the groin, but don't make it off the charts intensity. Steady breathing in through your nose, back out through your nose. And remember, if you're feeling it, you're doing it, and your version of this pose may look very different from other people's versions, but as long as you've got sensation along the inner lines of your legs, with or without your knees bent, then that's what you want. And you've probably got sensation going through the backs of the legs as well. The hamstrings get a good tug here. Very important that you don't pull. Even in other styles of yoga where we do use our muscles, you have to be very careful. In this one, you can injure yourself hamstrings wise. Ride your breath in just like a wave coming into shore and receding. Make sure your feet are relaxed. Try to soften through the quads as much as you can. Bend the knees a little more if you need to, if you can't seem to relax your quads. Or don't lean so far forward. Come back up a little bit. The reason we tug on these various meridian lines is it's just like we're literally doing some acupressure on ourselves, touching various trigger points, if you will, with these tugging sensations, almost like we're just cleaning out the highway of energy in case there is anything blocking there. This steady pressure and then release, just like massage therapy with deep tissue massage. It tends to constrict blood flow and then let it rush through there, and that is a way of removing blockages, removing toxins, so that energy can flow freely. As we know, we're electrical beings, and so it makes sense that we have energy highways running through our body, even though they're not physically able to be seen. Now on an inhale, you're going to slowly uncurl your way back up. Exhale when you get all the way up, just without moving your legs, just leave them where they are. Lean back on your hands. That's another way to release the hip joints quite nicely. Take as long as you like there, and then help your legs in. That was about 8 minutes total with them apart, so they might feel a little broken or a little fragile. That's perfect. You know that you've targeted your fascia very well when you've done that. Lean back, maybe arch a little bit, look up. Nice release for the back there. And then going through some windshield wipers, set your feet down about the width of your mat, the skinny way. Just feeling those hip joints, how they've had some stress on them, but now it's leaving your body. Good way to stress them. And then when you're ready, take your time, come down onto your backs. For those twists that we always end with. And your arms are going to come out to a T. Bend in both of your legs and scoot the left hip under. Drop those knees over to the left if you like. And then we'll do something a little different this morning. Bring your back hand around. Come down a little bit. I always say this. I wish that Instagram would allow the panorama view. It would be much better for yoga, wouldn't it? But anyhow, we do what we do. So your hands are right together. You're lying right on your side. And then what you're going to do is use the top, that'll be your right hand fingers, trace an arc. This is called the moon, and try to keep those fingers on the floor. They might lift off at a certain point, note that, and then you're opening wide up back into your T. Just feels really nice to open through the chest this way. You can reach down with your with your left hand and rest it on the upper knee. Maybe the fingers are in the pit of the knee. If you feel that the twist isn't quite deep enough, then feel free to go into the one knee bent, so straighten your bottom leg, and then you have a little more room to drop that top knee over. It's up to you how your neck is. You can leave your head, the back of your head on the floor, or you might like to turn your head and look out to that outstretched right hand.
relaxing completely. Twists are a wonderful way to release tension in your spine, tension that might have built up over the past not quite hour. Breathing in, breathing out, still using your yogic breath. And on an inhale, bring your legs back to the center. Plant your foot soles, push into them, lifting your hips off your mat so you can realign your hips, and then drop your knees over to the right. And then bring that left arm over so you're lying right over onto your right side. Palms are stacked together, and then we'll do the moon on this side. So fingertips trace that arc over your head, trying to keep those fingertips on the floor all the way around, opening up. And you'll find that your head naturally seems to follow, so you might be already looking over to the left. If that's okay for your neck, reach down and set the hand on the upper knee if you like, or just leave your arms open in that T. And if you did the one knee twist on the first side, then you might find you like to do it on this side as well. Relaxing into your mat. Breathing in. Breathing out. Twists also work at the nervous system level, helping to restore the equilibrium within our nervous system. Some of these poses that we're holding for minutes can be pretty intense, and we're trying to be calm and relax. And so that tends to wreak a little havoc with our nervous system. So twisting is another way to reset everything. Inhale your legs back to the center now. Plant those foot soles, push into them, lift your hips into the air, and then bring them into your knees into your chest. Wrap your arms around your shins, give yourself a hug. Rock over that spine, massaging. Take your time. When you're ready, stretching out those legs, getting ready for a final Shavasana, maybe covering up with a quilt, blanket, slipping on a hoodie. Tuck your chin in once you're settled. Take in a deep breath. Let it go with a sigh. Do that one more time. Deep breath in. Let it go. Releasing your yogic breath here now. Sinking into your mat just like you're lying in warm sand. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. Fill your body with a warm, healing light of relaxation. Float away to a happy place or stay within. But whatever you do, choose, take rest now. Let your body absorb the benefits of this practice in Shavasana. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. I wish you a wonderful Tuesday. I'll see you again on Thursday, same time, 7 a.m. Namaste, my friends.